Hey everybody, Rosemutter here. Welcome to part 5 of my Project Eden's Garden Chapter 1 playthrough. Last week, we started the class trial and it's been a really good one. Twists and turns as you'd expect from these types of games. And we have landed on Diana as the main suspect, which is not a surprise, but I doubt that she is the true culprit because we're only about halfway through, so I'm assuming we're gonna have some new information come up. There's so many loose ends we have not tied up yet, and it could really go anyway. I don't really have a backup person I think it could be. I put my eggs into the basket with Diana, but I really don't think she's the killer, especially the way that she was acting at the end, where she was asking for forgiveness for not being able to save Wolfgang, and I think it's genuine. So, are we gonna finish the, the class trial today? We'll see. But I'm excited to get back into it, and I know you guys want to see, how it's gonna play out. So, without further ado, let's get back into the class trial.
Diana, now's your chance to defend yourself. Tell me what happened.
Where do I even start, though?
How about you begin by explaining why you went to the boiler room?
Why I went there? It was 'cause of a note.
A note?
2 days ago. Someone slid one into my room. I never got to see who. I just heard a knock. And when I walked over, there was a note under my door.
I don't remember any of this.
Sorry. It was midday-ish, and you weren't there at the time. And I didn't show you the note later because, well, I'll just read you what it said.
Diana, as you are aware, it is our obligation to speak with those whose blackmail we've obtained. After receiving your blackmail and reading the information disclosed in it, I believe a meeting between the two of us is warranted. In 2 days' time, please come to the underground boiler room at 8:45 a.m. Make sure to arrive promptly and close the door behind you. That's exactly like Wolfgang said, like, close the door. Was it 8:45 for his as well? Can I check? I'll have to check it later, I guess. Was that the same time as, did we get the time for Wolfgang's? I think it was 8:45. To avoid discourse, please do not show anyone this letter. Do not approach me about it either, even in private. There's always the chance someone can hear. Wolfgang.
Wolfie wrote this?
Wolfgang had Diana's blackmail?
Yeah,
But
oh
didn't he
shit,
have
that's
John's?
right.
Hold on a sec. If you take a closer look, the handwriting on that note, doesn't it resemble the handwriting on Wolfgang's
Oh,
note?
so somebody's purposely set up a meeting between them?
You're actually right. Even though Wolfgang's note has been water damaged, the words I can make out were in the same messy scroll as Diana's here.
Oh, his says 8:15, it looks like.
Then someone else was posing as Wolfgang?
The killer, most likely. They must have thought his word was the only one Diana would follow.
Guess it worked, huh?
I didn't want to show this note earlier because I was scared of how people would try to twist it, like saying I faked the note or that I decided to kill because of it. I thought it would be better to just stay quiet. I know you guys think I'm stupid for agreeing to meet in a place like the boiler room. And I am. I am stupid. I just didn't want to disappoint Wolfgang in case he really did write the note, which was why I left my room around 8:40 a.m. and went downstairs.
Did you catch any strange movement down there?
No, it was just me. I did find the boiler room door hanging open a little bit, but I didn't think much of it. I just went inside and closed the door behind me, since that's what the note asked me to do.
Now this is where I'm thinking that, like, had the killer already switched the doorknob or the lock so that it locked from the outside, so maybe... But everybody's accounted for as far as I know, because I'm like, maybe the actual killer was lying in wait in the boiler room waiting for the both of them to show up. And then, like, that's why they had them close the door, and then they were able to lockpick themselves out of the room and lock it behind them? And then, I don't know, did Diana... anyway, she'll explain. She'll explain.
What did you see inside the boiler room?
The boiler room was really dark. So the first thing I noticed was actually the security camera light. My eyes had to take a few seconds to adjust to everything else. But after that,
Oh, so he was
finally saw
already...
him.
He wasn't dead at that point, because his death was 9:35 a.m. Oh. So he'd been knocked out at this point, but not... Yeah.
Wolfgang was lying in the water, making these weird noises. It didn't seem like he'd even noticed me entering the room. Not until... Wolfgang? Hearing his name seemed to snap him out of his trance, because he slowly rose to his feet. Wolfgang, are you okay?
Oh, did he think that Diana, like, attacked him, so he, like, went to stab at her? It's you. Oh.
Huh?
I can't believe it. I really am finally meeting you.
What do you mean?
Oh.
Please, forgive me. Please forgive me for what I've become.
Okay.
Wolfgang?
Despite how hard I tried, and how much I wanted it to be true, I could never become you. I will always
Oh.
be a
Wonder if he's talking about his dad?
It's okay, Wolfgang. Look! There's stairs over here. Come over here and we can get out. I have no idea if he didn't hear me, or if he was just ignoring me. But, okay. I'll get closer to you then. I went over to the ledge of the platform, the part where the fence had a gap. Just take my hand, okay? And I'll pull you out. He slowly stumbled over, and he held my hand.
I bet that's when he stabbed her.
I didn't really think I could pull him out. I just wanted to be there for him. It was the best I could do, because I didn't want to enter the water. Staying on the platform felt so much safer, and I really hate that it did.
Oh, did she... I don't know, subconsciously, did she know that something was up with the water?
It's okay.
Oh, gosh.
Wolfgang.
Seeing Diana like this, I feel so bad. I feel so bad that I thought that, like, her niceness was an act. Ugh, the game played me so hard. I couldn't help but think it was her, at least briefly, you know, like, until you get the truth out of it. When someone doesn't have an alibi, you have to suspect them.
We'll get through this together, all right?
I'm sorry I ever doubted you, Diana.
I was looking at him when I said that. I was looking right at him. But somehow... somehow I didn't think to react.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, he's gonna get her. He's gonna attack her.
When he reached inside his blazer.
Bring her back.
Bring her back.
Bring her back!
I tried to leave the room, but the door was locked. I didn't know what to do. I started looking around for things to defend myself with, and that's when I saw the gun.
The taser gun? Did you use it?
I took the taser.
So did the killer...
and I aimed it at Wolfgang.
Did the killer put the taser there and set all this up for Diana to use the taser on Wolfgang?
And I couldn't do it.
Okay, so wait, so she didn't fire the taser, but Desmond said that the taser was fired.
I couldn't shoot him.
So that means the taser was already either had been used before she got here or someone used it after.
I just backed away from him.
Okay, so unless something happens to Diana later, I think we can safely assume that even literally in a situation where it's life or death, where she has to defend herself, she cannot bring herself to even use a taser gun. So safe to say, I don't think she's going to be a killer down the line. If anything, she seems like she's setting herself up to be a victim because people know she's not going to fight back.
I couldn't understand anything. Why was this happening to me? Why was I being attacked? Why can't I do anything to...
I'm not like you. I'll never be like you.
I gotta assume he's talking about his dad. But, like, who's the bring her back? Is it his mom?
I won't give up.
Or is it that girl that we saw at the beginning in the, like, fake trial? I can't remember what her name was. The teacher's aide. Because his mom has red hair. That girl had red hair. Wolfgang seemed very emotionally invested in the trial. Maybe Tozu chose that specific girl for a reason. Maybe knowing that there was a connection there.
I won't give up until everyone knows me as...
Kaboom. And we'll never know what he was gonna say. That's so frustrating. Hopefully, like, we will learn, like, what was Wolfgang talking about, but it may have just died with him. All of that stuff. That's so frustrating.
All of a sudden, everything turned white. Everything in front of me. Except Wolfgang. In those few seconds, he became pitch black. And then, so did everything else.
Plop. Okay, so that's the knife falling into the water.
Even though I didn't see Wolfgang fall over, I heard it. His body cracking against the pavement, and his knife falling into the water. I waited for the gasp of pain, for him to groan or mumble or say something. But there was nothing. There was just me and the silence. That's how it happened.
What the fuck?
Appropriate reaction.
That man attacked you?
Oh my goodness, Diana, I'm at a loss for words.
This is getting too much for me, bros. I think I'm gonna faint.
Is Grace just like, is she refusing to believe it? Like, she's like, Wolfgang would never do something like that, despite the fact I've known him for like 3 days.
Holy shit. So Diana really did watch Wolfgang die.
But why was he so violent towards her? It's like he became an entirely different person.
The word you're looking for is crazy.
Despite how hard I tried and how much I wanted it to be true, I could never become you. Why would Wolfgang say those words in that particular moment? Okay, Damon, are you going to reveal Wolfgang's secret? Because that could have something to do with it, but I feel like because Damon has hid it for so long, revealing it now would just maybe cause people to question why he withheld that information.
How'd you manage to escape the boiler room after all that?
By picking the door's lock.
Yes, okay. That's where the thing with the wire came into play.
For reals?
Wait, Diana knows how to pick a lock? That's impressive. Sometimes you're surprised, like these ultimates, they have these little talents you'd never think they'd have.
I wasn't even thinking. I just started feeling my way back to the door in the dark. And then, well, my supply bag. I remembered the spare hairpins I always kept inside.
And she did this in the dark, too. It's really impressive.
To be honest, I have no idea how I managed to unlock the door.
Okay.
The whole thing was repeated trial and error. Just minutes of me telling myself that somehow this next attempt will finally work.
Whoa! Actually unlocking the doors. That's like hitting a bullseye blindfolded.
Now we know why it took so long for her to escape.
I realized why it happened. Getting trapped inside, I mean. The door's lock was on the outside. So Someone must have set the lock before I came downstairs, so that when I closed the door, I'd be trapped.
The lock is normally on the inside too.
Oh shit.
The killer purposely flipped it.
That's really
Then
smart.
left the door open so you would be the one to close it.
That's so smart of the killer to do, actually, because then... Well, the killer certainly didn't expect Diana to pick the lock and be able to get out, because otherwise we would just find her in the room with Wolfgang. And that would be that. I mean, good luck trying to talk your way out of that, right?
That's for why the killer locked the door to begin with.
It was to frame Diana.
Yeah,
right?
damn.
Right. The killer made Diana trap herself inside the boiler room, so they could kill Wolfgang in front of her, and force her to remain by his body. Had their plan worked, Diana would only be able to escape if someone from outside entered the boiler room, by which point, that someone would be stumbling across what looks like a cut-and-dry murder case.
If the tournament folk found Diana, they would have been playing right into the killer's hands.
Speaking of which, Diana, I'm curious to know, did you unlock the door before or after the tournament attendees arrived downstairs?
It sort of happened at the same time. Like, when I opened the door, there were already people walking down the stairs. Obviously, I couldn't stay inside the boiler room. If anyone saw me close to Wolfgang's body, it would look really bad. The hallway was a bit easier to make out in the dark, so I walked over to a wall bordering one of the storage closets and hid behind it, and stayed as quiet as possible. I was still bleeding a little from Wolfgang's cut, though, and some of that blood ended up dripping onto the floor around me.
It's the blood on the underground floor! It's all coming together!
This was shortly before us tournament goers split up. And you made a run for it, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Down the hallway, up the stairs, and then as quietly as possible into my room. Since everything was still really dark, I had to patch myself using the Tozu Trinket's projection as my light. I realize this is a lot, and I know it's hard to believe without proof. So, if you guys could just give me a second.
Reaching into her makeup bag, Diana pulled out a wipe and began scrubbing at her arm.
I cleared up the blood pretty fast. Luckily for me, the cut wasn't that deep. There's still a chance it may leave a scar, though.
Holy crap!
That's awful!
It's okay. I'll cover it back up again.
Why did Wolfgang attack you for no reason?
I wouldn't say it was for no reason.
You're being kind of insensitive, man.
Huh? I didn't mean it like that. What I'm trying to say is, Wolfgang's actions may look random from an outsider's perspective, but from his perspective, well, judging by his behavior, it seems like he saw something which shook him to his core.
Like, there was something in the room that Diana didn't see?
That's impossible! It was only me and Wolfgang in the boiler room!
I don't believe Jean meant it in a literal sense.
Wolfgang literally saw something?
He thought he saw something, is my point.
You mean he had been hallucinating?
What did Wolfgang hallucinate for him to turn out the way Diana described?
You'd be surprised by the sort of things our minds can invent. I'm lucky to have never experienced anything myself, but I know some who have hallucinated nasty things. Demons and monsters. Or the feeling of being tortured. If Wolfgang went through something similar, I can see why he lashed out.
Now what the heck is going on at sea?
Of course, these hallucinations don't just happen out of the blue. More often than not, they're substance-induced.
Substance-induced?
Just say Wolfgang took a hallucinogenic.
Hallucinogenics?
One which induced a lot of fatigue, too, judging by the way he lumbered about in Diana's...
Oh, is this the thing? We have the... Hold on just a moment. Do. But, where is it? I feel like I've looked it over. Odd smell. The air in the boiler room smelled like an odd combination of cereal and alcohol. Could that be it? Was he just like drunk?
It would explain why Wolfgang mostly stayed in one place.
One place, which happened to be in the water.
Seems very deliberate. Aye. I reckon the killer knocked Wolfgang unconscious in order to drag him into the water, but knew he would eventually wake up again. So they drugged him with something which would basically make him despondent. As for where the drug came from...
Oh no! Don't tell me the killer robbed...
I knew exploring it was a bad idea.
It? What's this it we're talking about?
The pharmacy, obviously. Why the heck did we think leaving that place open was a good idea? Now someone's stolen an item and drugged Wolfgang. Fuck! I knew our promise was too good to be true! I can't trust any of you guys! And don't say Wolfgang drugged himself! Who wants to be tortured by demons?
Well, stranger people do exist.
That's rich coming from you!
It's just as I predicted. Exploring the pharmacy ended up paving the way for murder. Should I have made more of an attempt to stop people from exploring? Back then, all I did was... With cautious yet determined expressions, the students enter the newly opened pharmacy. Giving everyone unrestricted access to medication sounded like a disaster in the making. But having already evoked the group's ire after speaking my mind before, I wasn't about to make the same mistake twice. I'll just stay quiet, let them do their thing. Then again, nobody would have listened to me, especially not with Wolfgang in control.
If we know where the perpetrator got their chemicals, I guess our next step is figuring out how they did the drugging?
Agreed. It would help us better understand the timeline of events, and potentially even validate Diana's testimony.
Sounds like you guys can leave this one to me. I'm the kind of person who knows someone back to front the moment I meet them. If you haven't already realized, I've gone and read this killer like an open book.
You're the last person I trust to reach a correct conclusion.
Just you wait! The second you hear what I gotta say, you'll be eating those words!
Pinning down how Wolfgang was drugged may validate Diana's testimony. The question is, how did the killer drug him? Oh, okay, well the odd smell is there. Is that it?
Force Wolfgang to swallow it.
Okay,
Just
let me
jab him at that point.
Let me look into this. The odd smell. The cereal thing is weird. The smell is a result of a chemical reaction. Like, could the killer have, like, I don't know, done like a chloroform kind of thing? Chemical reaction, like, knocked him out that way? I didn't even see what the other ones were.
How would the killer...
And piece of metal. Tozu tablet.
Swallow a pill?
Toshiko's fetch quest.
There was no proof they restrained
Wolfgang's neck.
Didn't the killer knock Wolfie out?
There's Toshiko's thing, but that one's already been used. Not to say it can't be used twice. Because, like, she went to the pharmacy, right? I don't suppose Toshiko drugged him when she saw him. He's so little. She'd have to, like... I don't even know how she'd be able to take him down, but... I doubt it's her, but, like, the idea of the little Toshiko being the one to kill Wolfgang, who's, like, over 6 feet tall, is hilarious. But maybe that's why she drugged him, is because, like... I don't know. Otherwise, she knows she'd never be able to take him down. So there's the Tozu tablet as well. And his neck. Oh, that's right. There's the dot. Well, okay. Oh, shit. Well, that's the thing. It's like, I thought that was from the taser, but Diana claims she never used the taser, but the taser was fired. Desmond, we never brought that up with Desmond, where she said she never used it. So maybe
it was their way of restraining him.
You can't force an unconscious
so
person.
it could be Toshiko's. It could be...
What if it was a drug?
The smell. Oh.
You don't need to eat.
Oh, here we go.
Like an inhalable substance?
Except I'd be
like
arguing
a
against
powder or
that, right? A
something.
powder.
The pharmacy does have a large collection. of
Except the
over-the-counter
idea
sedatives,
of...
But there's too many for us to isolate any
Okay, I'm gonna
specific
try
one.
the odd smell. The idea of him actually eating cereal that has alcohol in it is hilarious because of course he would taste that like immediately. How did the killer drug Wolfgang? Out of all the ideas being thrown around, only one has any real merit.
I bet the killer took a pill.
Okay, so we'll try the odd
Forced Wolfgang to
smell.
swallow it.
Just jab him at that point.
How would the killer make him swallow a pill? There was no proof they restrained him.
Didn't the killer knock Wolfie out?
Here, Wolf,
Maybe
knock
it
him
was
out.
their way of
They
restraining
said
him.
maybe
You can't force an unconscious person to swallow a pill.
chemical thing, right? Like
What if
maybe
it was a drug?
like chloroform or
You
something.
don't need to eat.
Here we go.
Like an inhalable.
There we go. No, shit.
If
Okay.
Wolfgang inhaled something, there should have been traces of it in his nose or throat.
I didn't mean inhale that way. Right, I would have found something when inspecting his body.
I bet the killer took a pill and forced Wolfgang to swallow it.
Just jab him at that point.
How would the killer
Oh!
make
Oh!
him swallow a pill?
Oh, because,
There was no
okay,
proof they
Damon said something
restrained
about like only one of these
Didn't
makes
the
sense.
killer knock Wolfie out?
No,
Maybe
Wolfgang's
it was
neck,
their
there was the
way of
little red
restraining
dot.
him.
I was thinking it was the...
Can't force an unconscious person.
I was thinking that it was the taser, but... Alright, let's hope that's it, because otherwise I have no clue.
The pharmacy does have a large collection of over-the-counter sedatives, but there's too many for us to isolate any specific one.
Yeah, because if it says only one has merit, that would mean I'd be agreeing with
I bet
someone.
the killer took a pill
And there's only one chance where I can do
forced
that.
Wolfgang to swallow it.
Just
Okay, good, because I'm like, if that wasn't it, I'm like, I have no clue. I'd just be guessing at that point.
When Wolfgang's wounds were discussed earlier, it was mentioned he had a tiny red dot below the bruise on his neck.
So the killer knocked him out first, and then injected him with something.
During the investigation, I thought this dot was a scab from a mole or pimple. But knowing Wolfgang was drugged, it's clear to see what it really is. A puncture wound.
Considering the timeline of events, an injection would check out if Wolfgang got drugged a little after 8:15 a.m. and was already feeling the effects when Diana arrived at 8:45 a.m. Then we're dealing with something which entered his bloodstream in under 30 minutes. Any normal pill would have taken, probably an hour to dissolve.
Whilst an injection would be much quicker. I see.
That's probably another reason why the killer knocked Wolfgang unconscious. It would have been incredibly difficult to inject him if he was still moving around. Only when they had him right where they wanted. Dazed and unable to fight back, did they plunge the syringe into his neck.
With said syringe being filled with a hallucinogenic.
But if this all happened a few minutes after 8:15 a.m., doesn't that make it impossible to pin a suspect?
Right, now we're back to this whole thing about, like, who has alibis at that point. So it happened a few minutes after 8:15 a.m. Oh, well, at least with Toshiko and Ingrid, they would still be good, right? Because she saw him right before he went down into the basement.
What? Why is it impossible?
Because everybody's got an alibi.
Oh, they
for
do
that
have alibis,
time.
okay.
I mean, Damon and I were in my dorm room, and the other party people.
8:15 a.m. Yeah, I was already in the dining hall with Jet, Mark, and Eva.
So she says Eva. Sometimes they say Eva, sometimes they say Ava. What is it?
I left Wolfgang's dorm right after the morning announcement and spent the rest of the hour with Jean.
When Nona and I were in our dorm room together.
And me and Eloise were already sitting down in the courtyard.
Toshiko was giving me the medication she grabbed from the pharmacy.
And
So Diana, once again,
I stayed in my
is the
dorm
only
room
one who
until
doesn't have an
8:30
alibi.
Oh no. If everyone can be accounted for, we really can't assign a suspect.
So, we're back to square one?
Someone here must be lying.
And doesn't plan to stop.
Well, the problem is that everybody, except for Diana, everybody has someone to verify where they were. What's screwing us over here is there a part of this mystery we're getting wrong, or could it be we're overlooking something? It was ruled out as having no relation to the murder because the wires don't touch the water, but the position of it, the fact it's destroyed, the timing of the blackout. One coincidence is easy to wave off, but when it's coincidence after coincidence after coincidence, then there's something more going on. There's something more to the generator.
If everyone has an alibi for 8:15 a.m., is it possible the killer never actually attacked Wolfie at that time? But his little note said to come by at 8:15 a.m., didn't it?
Ingrid, do you remember what you said when we couldn't figure out who stole Desmond's taser?
To be honest, I'm drawing a blank.
You suggested we switch subjects and discuss Wolfgang's injuries instead, which we did. As a result, we ended up unraveling more about the case than if we had stuck to the original topic. Right now, we're at a dead end. If we can't get any more leads out of this current discussion, then that's a sign to switch our focus.
Switch our focus to what?
I want to take another look at Diana's testimony.
Mine?
Back when you were describing Wolfgang's death, something stuck out to me.
I won't give up until everyone knows me as... All of a sudden, everything turned white. Everything in front of me except Wolfgang. In those few seconds, he became pitch black. And then, so did everything else.
The flash of white Diana described must have been the generator exploding, with the darkness afterwards being the blackout. Think about the order of events there. In just a few seconds, the boiler room's generator explodes, and Wolfgang falls over dead. Doesn't it sound like the two are correlated?
Oi, didn't we go over this already?
We did. The generator has nothing to do with Wolfgang's death. Its wires weren't touching the water.
Indeed. Which is why the murder weapon is the taser gun.
Diana said she never used the
Yes,
taser,
let's get to
though.
this. Yes, let's bring this up. There's a discrepancy there.
She's lying!
What? That's not true! I never fired the gun!
It's all good.
Oh,
I believe you.
Okay, that was solved pretty quickly.
Sure, nobody can dispute the gun was fired. What can be disputed, though, is when it got fired. I wouldn't be surprised if the killer fired that gun way in advance. Like, sometime before Wolfgang arrived downstairs and left it in the boiler room for us to find later.
Okay. So did the killer believe that Diana wouldn't use the taser gun at all because, you know, she's so kind and she wouldn't hurt anyone, so they fired it just to be on the safe side, just to make sure that that looked like she had hit Wolfgang with it?
What? So the taser gun isn't the murder weapon?
If Wolfgang wasn't killed with the taser gun or the generator, what other options are we left with?
The taser gun is the only option which makes sense. The murder weapon can't be anything else.
The true murder weapon. Is it possible there's a third source of electricity we haven't considered yet? Oh, yeah, the extension cord. Am I grasping at straws by thinking something like that?
And anyway, the only proof Diana never shot the taser is her own word.
Huh?
Ava! What do you mean?
All the evidence supporting your version of events is circumstantial. The note you showed us? That could be a fake alibi you made for yourself.
Oh wow, she's going really in on her.
The fact that it has the same handwriting as Wolfgang's is already suspicious.
Couldn't that just mean the same person tricked them?
If you earnestly believe Diana didn't write it, then maybe. But do you see what I'm saying? There's no proof Diana never wrote the notes. There's only her word to go by. Because if she did write them, everything about her entering the boiler room at 8:45 a.m. and being locked inside could be a total lie.
I get what you're saying. But if we run with the idea that Diana was the one waiting for Wolfgang all the way back at 8:15 a.m., then we're stuck with the issue we had last time. Why did Diana wait over an hour to kill him?
That's also circumstantial. None of us know what really went on between those two in an hour. Ruling someone out because they took a long time to murder is stupid.
Without context? Sure, I'd say the same. But since the boiler room is unlocked, anyone can enter. If Diana knocked Wolfgang out, then she took over an hour to kill him with that info window.
Okay,
But who would enter? No one wants to make a detour down some gross, freaky-looking basement. The boiler room is probably the most covert place a person can be.
The most covert place? Her words do make sense. After all, I chose to meet Tozu in the boiler room for that very same reason.
Diana claims she didn't write the notes, and she claims she didn't shoot the gun. But where's the hard proof she didn't do any of these things?
The answer lies in what destroyed the generator.
What?
Didn't we already talk about that?
Man, okay. Ava was really going in on Diana there. It'd be wild if Diana, after all of this, ended up being the killer, but now I'm like, wait a minute. Wait a minute, maybe? I don't want to think it's Ava, but... Or Eva, whatever. But, like, she was rooming with Diana, right? So she would kind of, like, know more about her than I would assume most people would, so, like... The fact that maybe she could have gotten that note to Ava, or to Diana. Oh. Now I'm really, okay, now I'm thinking about it. Oh, wait a minute, hold the horses. Hold the phone, hold your horses, whatever. So, also, Ava was saying, like, who would go down in that gross basement? She explored it really thoroughly while I was knocked out at the beginning of the game. She said she checked all of the storage rooms. So she'd know where all the things are, like the extension cord, the rolling pin. And because she knows the area so well, because she explored it, she'd be able to, like, get an idea of, like, the feel for the area and be able to kind of, like... And the generator room, too, like, other than me. She's the only one who really went in that, as far as I know, the boiler room and knows it well. So she could have, like, used all of that information to set all this up. Oh, okay. We got a potential. Okay. Except she was with us. She was with us in the, at the tournament. So I don't, When would she have time to have been able to knock out Wolfgang?
All you guys did was discuss theories. Never anything concrete. Settling for a theory isn't good enough when our lives are on the line. In the same way Ava can't rule out Diana's involvement in the case. We can't rule out the generator.
And she's really trying to divert away from the generator. She kept saying it's not the generator, we've already talked about this. She was the one who threw the bulb into to show that it wasn't conductive, but that could have all been an act to be like, see, can't possibly be the generator. And she's like really honing in on the fact it's the taser. So, oh shit. So maybe she is, like, diverting us away from the generator. Ava.
So we have to figure out what destroyed the generator?
If it's Ava, I'm gonna be so mad because I'm 0 for 2 in, like, I was like, there's no way Wolfgang could be the victim or the killer because, like, he's too, well, maybe the killer, but I was like, there's no way he's going to be the victim because, like, he's too important of a character. And Eva's being set up to be kind of like our, I mean, that's certainly not the first time a Danganronpa game has done that, where they've taken a character that seems they're going to be really important and kill them off immediately. I was like, there's no way. The fact that it could be both, like, basically the two most important characters other than Damon could possibly be gone in the first chapter is wild. That's crazy.
What should we do? Just throw out ideas?
It's what we've been doing this whole time.
Oakley dokley. All right, everyone. Let's put our
All I know is I want Cassidy to make it to the end because she's one of my favorites. She's so entertaining.
Ready? On your marks, get set, go!
All right, let's look into this.
Why did the generator blow up?
Could have just been an electrical fault.
So, a coincidence?
Maybe this is where the odd spell might actually, because it didn't work for me last time.
Killer throw something at the generator that made it explode?
Because they said, like, it's the result of, like, an chemical reaction, right?
Taser gun? The electrical discharge it released might have connected with the generator and created an overabundance of energy.
Wolfgang's hands, generator, shrapnel.
Probably. There's no proof anything besides the taser was involved.
In that case,
Oh.
the generator blew up.
That might be
after Wolfie got shot with the taser.
no proof that anything other than the taser was used, so we need to get it away from the taser. No, I'm long past the point of falling for this surface level diversion. In reality, the truth is floating just within reach.
Why did the generator blow up?
Wait a minute, floating. Floating. Chunks of an unidentified material floating in the water near the... Okay, so it's the shrapnel.
Could have just been an electrical fault.
So...
Is this the best situation?
To be waving...
Did the
killer throw something at the generator?
Oh, shit, no.
Made it explode?
Perhaps it's the fault of the taser gun? The electrical discharge...
The thing that Eva says about, like...
connected with the generator. And
there's no proof there's anything other than the taser gun.
Which caused everything in the circuit to pop.
Probably. There's no proof the taser was involved.
Yeah. Oh, I feel like I'm going up against her now. I'm just shooting her down. And I don't think she's gonna be too happy about that.
Unfortunately, Ava, I have to disagree. You say nothing, but the taser could have been involved in the murder.
I wonder if she's gonna be upset if it is her about the fact that she's like, I thought we could trust each other, and like you're going against me, like we shared each other's secrets and stuff, in a messed up way, despite the fact that if I don't get this right, all of us are going to die.
The shrapnel in the water.
You mean those bits of red metal which were floating around?
Right. The ones that look like the aftermath of an explosion due to their proximity to the generator. It's safe to assume the two are connected.
Can't that just be debris left by the generator?
Except this debris is a completely different color and lacks the rust the generator has accumulated. We're obviously looking at the remnants of something else, which means an object we haven't yet identified was caught in the explosion.
And floating near it was another out-of-place item. Ah, that's gotta be the thing that I've been mentioning over and over again. Where is it? Where is it? Extension cord.
This is it.
In the water was also an extension cord, half of which had been burnt away.
Huh? Did the cord get caught in the explosion?
Seems that cord has the misfortune of floating around the wrong place at the wrong time.
From what I saw in my investigation, the building's extension cord supply seems to be kept inside storage closet D. So in a way, yeah, it was definitely in the wrong place.
Storage closet D, huh? It was hard to make out much of it in the dark. And after the power came on, Kai came screaming for us to leave our closets. But I do recall seeing some extension cords peeking out from behind a shelf.
Since we already know the killer raided one storage closet, anyone else willing to bet they raided this one?
Yeah,
too?
right? Someone who's got knowledge of what is in that storage closet. It's a reach. It could be Ulysses. Maybe he went down there and he did some, you know, he did like some inventory. But I don't know. I don't see him being behind it.
The hell did they need an extension cord for?
Prob something involving the generator, given its proximity to the cord.
Same thing with the red bits. Even though we don't know what they are.
Right, the red shrapnel. It definitely isn't debris left by the generator, so what exactly is it? So far, nothing in the boiler room can be directly tied to the shrapnel. At least, not any of the clues that have already been discussed in this trial. If I were to flip my thinking and consider the clues we haven't discussed yet. Okay, there is no proof what I have in mind is related to the shrapnel, but when all other options are ruled out, I can only turn toward the one that hasn't. The one thing the mysterious shrapnel might be related to. Oh, okay. Oh, is it... Wait, the shrapnel. I was like... He said it was red, right? Is it from the bottle of alcohol? They said it's something that we haven't... It kind of looks like glass, but not really. I mean, we gotta go with what we haven't looked into yet. Oh gosh, okay, I don't have much time. Okay, I'm just gonna go with my instincts. Odd smell.
This is it.
Alright, good.
Hold that thought. We may be able to identify the shrapnel using context clues during the investigation. There was a strange smell permeating the boiler room. It took me a moment to notice, but when I did, well, the best way to describe the scent would be if you mix cereal and alcohol together.
Could it be? Could it be Ulysses, maybe? Because he doesn't have a sense of smell, so maybe he wouldn't know that doing that would cause there to be a lingering smell?
Cereal and alcohol? Talk about specific.
Mm-hmm. 'Tis a sign a chemical reaction was at play.
Wait, you recognize the smell?
Chemical reactions can produce some pretty pungent odors. Usually something to the tune of alcohol mixed with cereal.
I've never...
Or fruits.
I didn't realize that. It is such a specific thing. Alcohol and cereal.
I noticed the smell going into the investigation, but it had completely slipped my mind until now.
Could it be a chemical reaction was caused by the taser?
The gun never touched the water. There's no reason for it to be the source of the smell.
What about the generator?
Considering the state of it, that generator would smell more burnt than anything else.
If the chemical reaction can't be explained by what we already know, like the generator or the taser gun, we need to consider the possibility that the explanation is the one piece of evidence still evading us, the shrapnel.
Can someone translate this into less complicated talk?
It was just a long-winded way of saying he's using process of elimination.
I know it sounds like a stretch, but if you follow this line of reasoning, a lot more questions start getting answered. Think about it. If the smell and shrapnel are linked, then whatever object the shrapnel belongs to must contain chemicals.
So we're looking for a metal object, which is also packed with chemicals?
Okay, yes. I was thinking that the red came from like the bottle of alcohol, but no, they're just using it as an example of like a chemical smell, not literally alcohol was used, I'm assuming, in causing the reaction.
Surely something like that would be kept inside the pharmacy.
Looking at my notes...
Hey, Ulysses is finally using his notes. He's being useful.
When we originally visited the pharmacy, I recorded everything I saw. A bright red metal object would have definitely caught my eye, but I don't see one written here.
I got lots of metallic objects in my dorm room, but nothing chemical. Just big old slabs of metal.
Big old slabs of metal. Why does that sound so familiar? Hold on, that's right. What Ingrid said just now is similar to what she said the night everyone began bunking together. Wait, who? Wait, she? I guess this would explain my room too. It's littered with all sorts of fancy tools and metals. Oh, so it's got to be something that came from someone's dorm room? At the time, people were talking about their dorm rooms being themed. Okay, let's get into this. Okay, so what's something that is red and metallic? I'm just kind of looking at everyone right now. Cassidy mentioned she has a game system. That could be something red and metallic, right? Could it be? Could the shrapnel actually be the remnants of the unique device that guy boasted about having in his room? So the only way to know for sure is to put you on the spot. Okay, so it's not Cassidy. Oh, that's right. Yeah, Jet was talking about he had a car battery in his room. I even mentioned it, like, I think earlier about, like, oh, maybe that gave off, like, the electricity. I'm gonna go through everybody really quick, but it was Wolfgang. I mean, Mark definitely could have electric stuff in his room, but no, it's gotta be Jet. It's gotta be Jet. Okay. No way, I don't believe Jet's the murderer. That'd be crazy. He seems so dumb. To be able to put all that together would be very impressive.
It has to be you! Jet, I need to ask you something.
What's up?
Can you tell me what's inside your dorm room?
Like, a full-on list?
Whatever works.
Sure thing. I got a pretty gnarly collection of parts and accessories. Blind spot mirrors, lithium batteries, wheels, spare brakes, you name it. Oh, I even have the legendary mantle from the 1984's Grand Prix winning speedster.
That's what I was hoping to hear.
Cool. So, why'd you want to know? Unless... Wait, I'm not being suspected, am I?
Yeah, he's definitely too dumb to be able to pull this off.
No. Don't try to rope me into this, bro. I've got nothing to do with the murder.
I know you don't. You have an alibi.
And also, you're too stupid to commit it.
The only reason I ask is because that mysterious red shrapnel may be the remnants of one of your lithium batteries.
What?
I see. A lithium battery might explain the smell in the air.
And lithium? That's an explosive substance. If it made contact with water, gosh, you'd be left with a mess and a half.
Wouldn't someone have heard an explosion, though?
I did.
Really?
During the tournament. Right before we lost power.
Oi, that's right. There was a burn.
Wait! I remember hearing it too!
I initially assumed the generator made the noise somehow. But if Jet's car batteries contain an explosive substance...
Hey, Jet, were your batteries bright red at all?
Maybe?
You don't know for sure?
I never took the batteries out of their packaging. The packaging isn't red, I can tell you that, but the actual batteries? Yeah, I got nothing.
So it can't be proven beyond a reasonable doubt?
Pretty much.
Well, what's the reaction time of a lithium battery?
The reaction time?
When a lithium battery hits the water, how long does it take to combust? I think, once we know that, we can decide whether or not the battery is relevant to the case.
A lithium battery would be an almost instantaneous reaction, I'm pretty sure.
So the argument is still going to be like Diana said she was the only one in the room with Wolfgang, so it can only be her.
Lithium isn't a metal I've worked with, but it got beat
So it's
into my
going
head
cycling back
never
around to
mixed with
Diana,
substances
but I
because of
refuse, it's not her.
all that electricity the battery would have let out when it hit the water. It must have went straight into poor Wolfie.
There's warning labels on the battery for a reason.
Okay. If the reaction is instantaneous, then the battery would have entered the
Yeah,
water
that's what
only
she's getting
seconds
at.
before the generator exploded. That's really weird.
Is it?
According to Diana's testimony, when the explosion happened, she was still holding the taser gun. In which case, who threw the battery into the water?
Huh. Good point. We can rule out Wolfgang, since the Blackens can only be a student who kills another student. And Diana.
It was only Diana and Wolfgang in the boiler room. So unless Diana herself was the one to throw the battery, then the battery can't play a part in the murder.
I didn't throw the battery. I promise.
The shrapnel and generator are too close for comfort. They must be correlated. I'll admit that Diana throwing the battery is a possibility, but that's all it is, a possibility. There may still be another way for the battery to enter the water, and until I've ruled that out, I won't settle for a culprit just yet. Okay. Oh, can we use the extension cord?
The battery
Maybe.
is related to the case. Only Diana could have thrown it in the water.
But my arm had been cut. Lifting a battery would hurt too much.
Neo batteries are pretty lightweight, though.
The battery clearly couldn't have fallen from somewhere. So it must have been submerged another
Oh.
way.
Oh, maybe the
Perhaps
extension cord?
Something akin to what Eva described?
If that battery is the murder weapon, why is there a taser gun?
Maybe.
Okay, the
it's a red
taser
herring.
gun. I feel
Judging
like
by
it.
the shrapnel, the
I
battery
am
would have
wondering
landed
what
in the
role
water
the taser gun, if any,
a few
played a part in
inches
it.
from the generator.
Not the hardest shot to make.
Okay, I'm gonna try the thing with what Toshiko said. Everyone's so quick to say the battery was thrown, but when I consider the boiler room and which objects the killer could have leveraged, what that person considers impossible starts to sound anything but. Okay.
If the battery is related to the case, only Diana could have...
Lifting a battery.
Neo batteries.
The battery clearly couldn't have fallen from somewhere.
Oh, no? Shoot.
Now is not the time for jokes.
Damn, okay. I was so sure that was it. It wasn't meant to be one. Oh,
If the
crap.
battery is related to the case, only Diana could have thrown it in the water.
Okay, taser gun, shrapnel, generator, extension gun. Okay, let me take a look at the evidence.
Battery would hurt too much.
I was so sure. I'm like, that's gotta be it. Generator. Half the generator's wires were melted. What remained intact had been completely singed. It's like a bomb went off inside the machine. Oh, it's like a bomb went off inside of it. Oh, okay. So was it that the... Still don't quite know how it works, but okay, so they're saying... Alright, we're gonna try the fact the generator, they said it went like it was inside the generator.
Pretty lightweight, though.
The battery clearly couldn't have fallen from somewhere.
Oh, I missed it.
Another way.
Shoot, okay.
Perhaps something akin to...
Judging by the shrapnel, the battery would have landed in the water, a few inches from the generator.
Not the hardest shot to me.
Okay, let's try the thing about there's, like, maybe it fell out from the like it was placed inside the generator?
Neo
clearly couldn't have
fallen
from somewhere.
Ah, yes, alright, there we go.
No. The battery might actually have fallen from the generator.
What makes you say that?
The shrapnel's position in front of the generator suggests there's a correlation between the two. However, it's unlikely Diana threw the battery at the generator. Not only is the boiler room difficult to see in, the generator's positioned far enough from the concrete platform that Diana, with her wounded arm, would need to stand on the platform's edge to make the shot, which would obviously put her in danger of being attacked by Wolfgang again.
Yeah. Wolfgang was really close. He could reach over to me if he wanted.
If the battery hadn't been thrown, the only other possibility is that it fell down into the water. And considering the layout of the boiler room, what else could the battery fall off of? Except the generator.
Okay, so this seems like it was somebody had planned it perfectly to like go off like a bomb at a kind of specific time.
Are you saying the battery was sitting on top of the generator?
So if that's the case, the person wouldn't have to be in the room when it goes off. But my thing is, like, when would someone have the time to attack? We still have to account for, like, Wolfgang was attacked after 8:10, but before 8:45 when Diana came down. So we have to think, like, who could have done that? Who could have attacked him with a rolling pin? Not on top, but maybe. It was... Oh. Suspend... Oh, I was thinking like it was in the generator. Leaning over... I'll say suspended over, maybe with the wire?
I got it.
Alright. Because I was like, that wire, the extension cord has to be used somehow.
Might have been suspended over the generator.
Suspended over.
If the battery was suspended by something, then the presence of that item, there we go, starts to make more sense.
This is it.
The killer could have tied the extension cord around the battery and slung the battery over the generator. If the cord and battery were tied together at the time of the generator's explosion, it would explain why half of the cord had been burned away.
See, the way I thought it was, I thought that the extension cord was put into the water for the, like, to cause the electric shock, but no.
The more you explain it, the more unbelievable it sounds.
What if that's the point? Maybe the killer chose a crazy method because no one would
Yeah,
believe
that's taking rope before you. It's never straightforward.
I don't see how weaving a cord into the mix is any more beneficial than leaving it out. If anything, the cord adds extra weight.
Which would be especially inconvenient for Diana, because her arm was bleeding.
Right. It wouldn't benefit Diana to hold the cord. So, what if she didn't? Something else may have been supporting the cord instead.
Something like... What was holding the cord? Well, not Wolfgang, a third person. Ooh. Maybe. The cord wasn't... Well, we know it was involved. An object. Oh, okay. So I'm gonna say either a third person or an object. Let's say a third person?
Yeah, like Diana.
No! Not Diana.
Me. I promise.
Okay, so it's gotta be the object then. Damn it, I don't want to cast suspicion on Diana. No, I wasn't talking about Diana. Okay. That's what I'm saying, a third person, not Wolfgang, not Diana. All right, an object.
I got it.
There we go.
Throughout this trial, we've assumed the killer held the battery in some form or another. If the battery was on its own, the killer tossed it in. If the battery was wrapped with a cord, the killer held the other end of the cord. But in the same way something else can hold the battery, can't something else also hold the cord?
Ugh. My head's starting to spin.
Are you talking about something which could keep the cord in place?
Something to keep the cord in place. If I imagine the cord and the battery it's tied around in front of the generator in the same spot where the shrapnel had surfaced. Okay, so it would have been... Okay, so there's the generator. Oh! The vents?
This is it. The killer tied the cord to the vent.
What vent?
The one above the generator. It connects the boiler room and the dining hall.
Oh, wait a minute. Who? Okay, well, some of us knew about the vent, but Damon brought up the vent, and Eva knew about it too. And it's in the dining hall! It's in the dining hall! Oh, shit. So someone in the dining hall could be behind it. Oh, it's looking like it's Eva. Oh, shit.
The generator?
And a lot of people didn't seem to know about it.
You should remember some light shining into the boiler room. That's where the vent
Like,
is.
I know Damon mentioned it because, like, he talked to people about how he saw someone lying down in the dining hall from when he was in the boiler room.
The vent itself is set a bit far back into the wall. So, you probably assumed the spot was a small window or something.
If the boiler room and the dining hall are separated by one vent, does this make the wallpaper thin, or...?
There's two vents. The boiler room vent and the dining hall vent. Both are connected via a small ventilation shaft. I was able to get a close look at the boiler room vent after Ava and I woke up, which is why I know these details.
Yeah, it looks like Damon looks very suspicious, but if he was the killer, he wouldn't be bringing all this up, right?
How close is close for someone under 6 foot?
Ava helped me reach the vent.
By?
Letting me sit on her shoulders.
Quite the visual.
Don't rub it in.
Anyway, if the killer tied one end of the cord to the vent and the other end around the battery, they could suspend the battery over the generator.
Something like that would result in an explosion.
What do you mean?
You say the killer tied one end of the cord to the vent and the other end to the battery. However, indoor extension cords are much longer than regular cords. They can be upwards of 9 or more meters in length, as opposed to the average cord's 2 meters. 9 meters is significantly longer than the distance between the vent and the boiler room floor. If the killer wanted to tie the battery to the cord's other end, they would be tying it to something which is already submerged in water.
I see. It is an impossible setup.
Not necessarily. The killer can have greatly reduced the length of the cord by doing that. I would say wrap the cord around the battery, right?
I got it.
The extension cord is pretty thin and flimsy. If the killer wanted the battery to be secure, they need to wrap a lot of cord around it. Probably to the point there wouldn't be much spare cord remaining. Which is a good thing, because the spare cord is what the battery will be suspended by. So long as the spare cord isn't too long, the battery will sit safely above the water.
So much effort.
Agreed. How do you even submerge the battery into the water under those circumstances?
How? Simple. By adjusting the cord's position. All the killer would need to utilize is a certain aspect of the boiler room. Oh, okay. What would they need to adjust? Okay. So what do the killer use to adjust the cord's position? These wires up here? Oh, I can't even choose them. The generator? The cord isn't even tied to the generator. I guess the vent?
This is it.
Yeah, okay. I was overthinking it. I don't know.
Like I mentioned earlier, I gave the vent a close look after originally waking up in the boiler room. Part of my inspection included opening the vent to get a better look at the other side.
The vent can be opened?
Not all the way, but far
Oh my
enough for the
gosh,
vent
see,
to
all
cause
the
a
more
domino
reason
effect if then closed.
Ava knows all this. She was with me when I said all this, so it feels like it can't be anyone but her now. That's... oh my gosh.
In our case, a domino effect involving the extension cord.
I mean, I
tied
know Damon, like, told some people about the vent, but he didn't... I don't know if he gave everybody this much of an explanation about it. Everyone seems pretty surprised by this
If we assume
information.
the vent must be open for the battery to remain a safe distance above the water, we end up with a pulley system to prevent the battery from entering the water. The vent is literally pulling the entire cord backwards. Ergo, it's not just the killer's own measurements keeping the battery in place, but the vent itself. Having opened one of these vents before, I can tell you how tough they are to move.
Wrapping my fingers around the grate directly in front of me, I pulled as hard as I could.
A lightweight battery definitely isn't heavy enough to pull one shut. It takes an actual person to close one, which is great for the killer, because it means they get to maintain full control over when the battery enters the water.
Oh, shit. Okay, so that means that a person, like, I was thinking maybe that they had timed it in a way that, like, some sort of reaction can go off and it would have, like, dropped the battery in. But no, he's making it seem like, well, that could still be possible. He's making it seem like a person has to be the one to physically move the vent. And the only person that could do that would be in the dining hall. So now it went from, like, there couldn't possibly be anyone in the dining hall who could be the murderer to it could only be somebody in the dining hall.
If they
Oh my
close the
gosh.
vent, the cord should slide
Holy
forward
shit.
to merge the battery into the water. When that happens, the boiler room water becomes electrified by the battery's components.
Oh, and that's why. Oh, and then Ava, like, after she even, like, made sure, she's like, look, the water's not conductive. It has nothing to do with it. Oh my gosh. This girl, she set it all up. That's so smart.
Which, in turn, causes electricity to pass directly into the body of Wolfgang, who is standing in the water.
Exactly which vent is the cord being tied to?
The boiler room vent.
Funny. Earlier, you said there's a small vent shaft connecting the
All right, now she's gonna bring
to the
up that's
dining
like
hall
it's something to do with the dining hall.
Assuming the killer is operating this trap from outside the boiler room, since we know there were only ever 2 people in that room, how would they even be able to reach the boiler room vent? Like you said, there's a separate vent in front of it.
Huh, she has a point. Oh, okay. I've been assuming the cord is tied to the boiler room vent. But I failed to consider the the ventilation shaft. It becomes considerably harder to reach the boiler room vent if you have to reach down that shaft first. Not just that, I never tested to see if the boiler room vent can open inwards. Damn it, I only got to open outwards. I still think it's on the right path, though. I still think that it definitely has something to do with the dining hall, obviously, but by that logic, a vent on the opposite side of the shaft.
This could only mean
Oh, is
one
he coming to
thing.
the same conclusion? It's like it's got to be someone from the dining hall.
The killer never tied the cord to the boiler room vent. They tied the cord
Ah,
to the
yes,
dining
there we
hall
go.
vent.
There we go.
That
All
just
right.
creates the same problem as before, but reversed. Instead of the dining hall vent making it hard to close the boiler room vent, it's the boiler room vent making it hard to reach the dining hall vent.
While the vents may seem like an obstruction, especially since they can't be opened all the way, there's a very easy workaround. All the killer needs to do is fit the extension cord between the grates of the boiler room vent.
Oh yeah, the grates. You mentioned something about them earlier. Right. When you described opening the boiler room vent.
Wrapping my fingers around the grate directly in front of me, I pulled as hard as I could.
If you can fit your fingers between the grates, there's no damn way you can't fit a cord.
Exactly. After which, you could slide the cord through the ventilation shaft and out the opposite end for the killer to then go and tie to the...
Actually...
Oh! Oh no, another one of these. Okay. Another rebuttal, god damn it. Never thought it'd be Ulysses who would speak up. Even he's like, oh, I've surprised myself.
What is it now?
There's something I still don't understand about your theory. It's to do with the logistics of the cord.
The logistics?
Its size.
We're back to discussing this again? Never mind. I'll find a way to combat his argument, just like I've done countless times already. Okay, generator, knife, blackout, extension cord. Okay.
I understand the boiler room vent can be opened. Maybe not all the way, but enough to fit an extension cord through. What's bothering me, however, is that the boiler room vent was closed during the investigation, which means it must have been closed during the murder.
Okay. His argument might have made sense if it weren't for one fatal flaw.
I understand the boiler room vent can be opened. Maybe not all the way, but enough to fit an extension cord through.
I have to go through all this too.
Is that the boiler room vent was closed during the investigation, which means it must have been closed during the murder.
I don't see a problem here. The killer doesn't even need to open that vent.
Oh, they don't need to open the vent.
Slide the cord
Okay, I was getting on like, oh, it had to be someone had to be doing it.
Extension cords may be thin, but the plugs on either side of them aren't.
Oh, the plugs. We have a thing for that.
Both those plugs.
Plug was taken off, right?
In the vent grate. Either the boiler room vent was never involved, or it was open at some point, and someone else closed it.
Okay.
That is my
All right.
issue.
Well, we know what we can argue that now. His argument. Okay.
Indoor extension cords may be thin, but the plugs on either side of them aren't. How can the killer fit both those
Oh no, I
plugs
missed my chance.
between the gaps in the vent grate? Either the boiler room vent was never involved, or it was open at some point, and someone else closed it. That is my issue. Indoor extension cords may be thin, but the plugs on either side of them
There we go.
I'll cut through those words!
If you insert the cord through the boiler room vent first, it's possible to fit the cord through. You just need to start with the internal plug. The cords in storage closet D have a slim internal end. This can easily be slid through the gaps in the vent. Once the killer ties the cord around the dining hall vent, presumably with a knot, the cord won't be at risk of sliding back out either.
I see. When put like that, whether or not the boiler room vent was closed isn't really relevant.
How'd you figure all this out from some shrapnel and an extension cord? This is crazy.
At the same time, what he's describing sounds plausible.
Since the battery was suspended over the generator, it's no surprise the machine ended up the way it did. Fortunately for Diana, she was safe by virtue of remaining on the platform. I imagine that was also the killer's intention.
The killer kept her on the platform?
They must have known they were injecting Wolfgang with a hallucinogenic. So, it's possible they hoped his behavior would scare Diana off from entering the ward.
Yeah, what happens if the killer had accidentally killed both of them? What happens then?
Although, even if Diana did die, the moment people realized only she and Wolfgang entered the boiler room, they'd probably call the whole thing a murder gone wrong.
Well, all of this certainly changes things.
Huh?
If the killer is someone who needed access to the vent and needed to be
Right,
operating from
thank
the dining
you.
hall,
Now we have to bring this up. Be like, it's got to be someone who was in the dining hall.
then everyone who attended the tournament is a suspect.
What?
No way!
One of the tournament attendees is the killer? Damn it, how did I not realize sooner? The fact the killer could even access the vent means they must have been in the dining hall at the time of Wolfgang's murder.
So we can reduce it down to 8 people. Damon, Kai, Grace, Eva, Cassidy, Jed, Mark, and John.
It was probably Cassidy. She set the whole thing up.
Hey, I was only trying to improve the mood.
It wasn't me. I was playing a game with Damon when the lights
Right,
went
that's
out.
true. We gotta kind of get an idea. Where was everybody at the time?
had to play music.
Me too.
You never touched my equipment.
I meant I was watching Kai and Damon play.
I was spectating as well.
Okay. So, yeah, where was everybody? I'm trying to remember where, like, the picture of when... So, him and I were on the couch. I remember Grace was kind of leaning against the couch. Cassidy was, like, on my... like, she had a hand on the shoulder pointing at the screen. I can't remember where Jean and Ava were.
Me too.
Me three.
And Jet. Yeah, where was Jet?
I was too focused on the game to remember who was or wasn't there.
If everyone's telling the truth, then all 8 of y'all were crowded round the same spot?
Were we, though?
Near the right wall where the TV was set up. It's also the furthest wall from the vent.
Seems like someone is lying again.
The tournament participant who flipped the vent. I could deduce who that person is by determining everyone's positions directly before the blackout. The problem is I myself have been totally preoccupied with the game. I never got a good look at the actual people around me. Never got a good look. Wait, is that it? Oh, while I never got a good look at the others, I can still deduce their general positions, and if they were near me, from whether or not I heard them. Think, Damon, think. Who and what did I hear back then? Now, are we gonna have a flashback? It was you. The only person I never heard was you. Oh, okay, well, I was hoping maybe they were gonna do a flashback, but, I mean, based on everything that I've been saying, I can only think of it being Ava. Holy shit. Holy shit. I mean, we're far enough in, right? I gotta think that there's not gonna be a... I can't think that there's gonna be like a... Oh my gosh, at the last moment it turns out to be somebody else. I think it's her.
The killer is Ava.
Special shoutouts to my top tier patrons: Revealing Storm, Lynn's VA, Lunar, Kenju Storm, Icognito, and Badcat.